Alright guys, it seems I've upset a few die-hard Kilian fans because recently I did a video on Love Don't Be Shy Extreme, and I don't think some of the folks that watched my review were very happy with it, and they were very critical and posted some post in a Facebook group and critiquing my topics in that particular video for Love Don't Be Shy Extreme. So this is a video that's a response to that questionnaire or the post that was posted in by Kilian group, and I'm going to go over all of it so I can clear the air for you guys. So if you want to find out all about this, please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. Yeah, I guess some folks were not happy with my review of Love Don't Be Shy Extreme. But, I will say once again, this was not my favorite creation. But what does this post mention? So I'm going to go ahead and read the topics that were highlighted in this particular post, and just going to, share my thoughts on what they were asking or saying. So the post goes on to say, my thoughts on Sebastian's review on Love Extreme. He's confusing his audience with terms of extrait and intense, and use them interchangeably as if they're all the same thing as extreme. Extreme has nothing to do with concentration. Duh. I've spoken a lot about concentration on this channel. I have topics on it. You can go catch my videos if you don't know what concentration is all about. Referring to eau de cologne, eau de toilette, eau de parfum, extrait de parfum, or pure perfume. So those are the different concentrations. And basically what I was saying in my video was, if Kilian is going to give us something called extreme and charge us more money for it, why not give us extrait de parfum concentration? First of all, calling something that doesn't act like an extreme should not be called an extreme. That was my argument in that video, because Kilian's Love Don't Be Shy Extreme is not extreme. So for example, let's talk about extreme in a situation of cold versus hot. Let's say you live in an environment or place where it's typically 50 degrees, but one day it was 0 degrees. That's extremely cold. That's very dramatically extremely cold. How about the opposite of that? Typically you guys get up to 100, and today it went up to 130 degrees. It's freaking hot. It's extremely hot. That's not what we have with this. Because what does extreme mean? Extreme means reaching a high or the highest degree. That is not what we've gotten here. This is not an extreme fragrance. That was my criticism about this particular scenario in my review. So when I don't receive a fragrance that's extreme, I'm going to complain about it. Just by adding rose to a fragrance does not make it extreme, right? If you're going to add rose to it, call it something else. Don't call it extreme, and price it at the same price. But if I have to pay more for a fragrance just because there's rose in it, because it's called extreme and I don't get extreme, I'm going to complain about it. And that's my complaint about that fragrance. Next question. With previous Kilian extremes, e.g. Good Girl Gone Bad Extreme, Kilian introduced the toffee accord to the composition. It's the same way Bulgarian Rose was introduced to Love Extreme. Okay, I don't give a crap. Toffee does not make a fragrance extreme. Rose does not make it a fragrance extreme. When I'm buying something brand new off of Saks and I'm not getting extreme, I'm going to do a video about it to let everyone know that it's not extreme. Their extremes do not act like extremes. Extremes, if you don't know what it is still, just think of extremely hot, extremely cold. We don't have that with this fragrance. It's not extremely anything. It's not intensified. And if I want an extreme, I need intensity, I need density, I need depth, I need concentration. That's extreme to me. Overwhelmed, if I'm being overwhelmed, that's extreme. I'm overwhelmed when it's really hot. I'm overwhelmed when it's really cold. That's extreme. But I'm in no way overwhelmed with this fragrance. And I'm not. Alright, next question. If Love Extreme was red in color, he'd say that was the plan all along to make the original weaker. But since that wasn't the case, he went ahead and mentioned that anyway and created more confusion for the viewer. So I can't share my experience to my audience. So in 2019, I did a video because I read an article about Rihanna's favorite fragrance being Love Don't Be Shy in the black bottle. Up until 2019, up until 2018, I had only been buying the refill bottles of Love Don't Be Shy. I always thought I don't need the bottle. It's a little on the feminine side. I had issues when I was first starting out, not that I do now. I didn't need a bottle, so I went ahead and just picked up refill bottles because when I first sampled it in 2012, I immediately fell in love with it. It was a comforting smell. It takes me back home to my upbringing, eating delicious desserts that smell like that. It was an instant love. I loved it. And the thing about that fragrance was it was so overwhelming. That's extreme, right? When something is overwhelming, it's extreme. Kilian Love Don't Be Shy Extreme is not overwhelming. So for me, it's not extreme. But going back, as I said, I've been buying the fragrance as refills up until 2018 when I bought a black bottle, Love Don't Be Shy. Still, same experience up until there. Probably I had bought 3 or 4 or 5 different refill bottles up to that point when I bought the original bottle in 2018. I had shared decants with family and relatives because they're all familiar with the smell. But in 2019, when I did the review, because of the Rihanna love for this fragrance, right after that, I gave away some of my fragrance to some relatives. I bought one, and immediately the juice was so different, so different. I started wearing it and I noticed something was off about it. I thought, this is not performing or acting like what I've been used to wearing for 8 freaking years. All of a sudden now, it's different. It's just completely different. I should take that back. Not completely different because the smell is almost identical, but it's a weaker version of the smell. It doesn't smell like the depth it had before. It's a lighter, airier, less sugary, less intense, less overwhelming. That's the experience I had immediately. I immediately called Saks and I complained about it. I said, this is not the same. This is so different. This acts completely different. So we actually were able to return it or exchange it for another one. And then luckily that other refill was back to the orange color. So I don't know how this whole rollout happened, but I guess there were already some lighter juice versions of it out there, but thankfully I was able to get a refill bottle that had the older juice and I was happy. So the reason I'm saying all this is because I'm so used to the fragrance and that was my experience. It almost feels like something was staged or planned. I don't know. But it's speculation, and that's what I'm experiencing, and I have to share my experience. It could be not 100% true, but when you're used to a fragrance so much, and that this big hype comes along, so many different beauty websites had articles about Rihanna, then all of a sudden the fragrance gets a massive redo, like a complete changeover. Even I called by Kilian in New York City, they said, oh, the juice has to mature. It takes time for the juice to mature. Well, it's been maturing, but it's still salmon colored. Where is this deep dark red, reddish blood orange kind of a colored juice? It's never come. It's never come. Besides that, let it come if it's going to come, if it's going to get darker. It might, but I have to leave the juice out in light. I don't usually keep my fragrances in the light. Usually it's a dark room and it's no lights on, and sometimes when I'm here, but that's about the only light it receives. It's never changed. And how could the juice change so dramatically? For 8 years it's the same. So all that time I bought the refills from Saks, it's been the same color, then all of a sudden it changes color on you. What gives? So they had juice sitting around for 8 years that was this deep dark rich red blood orange color, and now they don't have any juice, so they're giving us a pale juice. Was it perhaps by up to 2019, Estee Lauder had not really gotten involved with the juices, and they did at that time? I don't know. But my experience was I was used to the juice being much darker, much denser, much more extreme, much more overwhelming. In fact, I used to always say to myself, no more than 2 or 3 sprays, because it was overwhelming. It was way overwhelming at the time. I mean, go read the complaints on my video review. You'll see people experience the same things. So that is my opinion of what I was trying to say. I don't think I would have said the same thing if it was red in color. I mean, the fragrance acts differently. Whether it's red, the reddish orange, whether it's this, it acts differently. It really does. Then the next topic that was raised is, I don't think he's aware of any of the Love Special Blend Rose and Oud of 2019 and 2020. I actually sampled it in 2019. I don't really care about it. I actually really love the original juice. I'm disappointed it's not the same anymore. But when you're used to wearing something for so long and obsessing over the smell, and then you try it once when the juice color looks different and you experience something completely dramatically different, then you kind of question it. So the next topic that was raised is he's going over and over the same story to fill a 13-minute video about the color of the juice changing since 2019. He wouldn't stop if Kilian released it again in a black bottle with a 6-month aged juice, red juice, aged red juice. Man, this lie about the juice aging, I don't know. I mean, I've had fragrances turn color frequently, but it's been years in the bottle. Years, not 6 months. This thing is not going to change color in 6 months. This thing has already been 6 months and it's freaking salmon colored. Where is the red? I don't know why these people are having such a difficult time. And I'm hating the fact that when I complain to a store, for example, like Neiman Marcus or Saks, with untrained sales associates, and this is the lie they think they're going to spread to us people that have so much experience with these fragrances, I just don't get it. I go, yeah, really? No. Yes, fragrances do change color, but it takes years for them to change color. Unless you leave it out in the sun and it's like sun baking under the sun, yes, it's going to dramatically change color. But this has been sitting around in a little lit room and it hasn't changed color. Do I have to wait 6 years for it to freaking change color? I don't think so. Hopefully somebody can prove this and do like a time-lapse video of a jar of Kilian's Love Don't Be Shy sitting and changing in color, because I don't believe what is being forced at me. I don't. Other fragrances that started orange and turned red with time include Sweet Redemption, The End. I don't care. The fragrance does not act the same. It's not the same fragrance. The color is different. I mean, why did I not have to wait for months previously when I bought Love Don't Be Shy and all of a sudden I do? What gives? Explain that scenario. I don't understand, and I can't be lied to or fed lies when I it doesn't make sense to me. It absolutely does not. I've explained everything already, and this is my honest opinions of my experience with this particular fragrance. Final thoughts. He feels a certain way about the brand. It is evident in his content. With a voice of that magnitude within the community, it's good to be self-conscious about his emotions and try to be more non-biased and factual. My emotions, yes. I get emotional about certain things because I'm used to this fragrance being deep dark red, orange, blood orange color. It's not anymore. Also because it performed like a beast. It was overwhelming. It was much more extreme than what we have in the regular Love Don't Be Shy now and the Love Don't Be Shy Extreme. That was the point. It's not extreme. Absolutely not. When a fragrance went from being extreme in the regular form to be diluted down into the salmon-colored color, and then an extreme launch that doesn't smell like it to me, not a lot, a little it does, that means something is up. Something is fishy. I don't know what's going on, but I'm giving it to you guys as I experience it. I don't want to be overly critical, but I'm being critical about this. In fact, last year, one of my favorite fragrances, in fact, it ended up on the best of 2020 list, was Angel's Share. I absolutely love it. I'm not being critical about it because this is the first time I experienced this fragrance from Kilian. The fragrance itself reminds me of multiple other fragrances. Hermès Ambre Narguilé, Wajan from Parfums de Marly, Brécourt Paris's Farah, even Sushi Imperial from Boys 1920. But I enjoyed this one. I just love it. It smells great. Is it extreme? No, because it's not called extreme. As it is, it smells fantastic. I love wearing it, and I was praising it. I praised it. It was on my best of 2020 list. Nobody said anything about that. But now that I'm complaining about this little monster here, I shouldn't call it a monster because it's not, this little release, I get criticized for it. You know what? This is not my favorite fragrance from Kilian. I don't like it as much as I like the original. In fact, I'll say it again, as I said in the review, the rose clashes with the orange blossom in here. That's my taste. I have to share what I experience. You might like the rose but the orange blossom. I don't. As I said in the previous video, I cook with orange blossom water and rose water separately, together. But together, every time I experience it, it clashes. It doesn't taste as good. And for me, it doesn't smell as great here as it does here. I love rose, don't get me wrong. And I love orange blossom. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite notes. But for me, this is not working. And the reason I'm doing a video here, and I have their extremes, I have their other extremes, a couple of them. I have Straight to Heaven Extreme. I have, what's the other one? The other extreme is Good Girl Gone Bad Extreme. I like it. It's not really extreme. And the reason I did a video here and not for the other, the Good Girl Gone Bad Extreme, is because that one I bought years later from a friend. This, I actually went to Saks and bought it just so that I can do a review, and because I'm such a fan of this one. And I wanted to see if what this has become what this used to be. Make sense? That's what I was hoping for. But then I got rose, which threw me off. And I was like, this is not extreme. Just because you add rose to a fragrance does not make it extreme. Those are my thoughts. Anyway, I hope I'm not upsetting anybody. I still love Kilian as a brand, but the name Extreme is misleading. I'm not receiving extreme from their fragrances. And I'll say this one more time. When you add a note to a fragrance and keep the concentration the same, you're not giving us an extreme, because I'm not having an extreme experience. I'm having a changed up experience of the original fragrance. That's it. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for tuning in today's video and watching it. I'm sorry to complain, but I thought that this was a necessary video to do, especially since this screenshot was sent to me. I don't think, I might be in the group. I think I'm in the group, but I didn't catch it myself. Someone screenshotted it and messaged it to me. And I felt like, it was necessary to put it out there. If there was any misunderstanding out there about the fragrance, and I'm telling it to you like it is, and I'll continue telling it to you like it is. And that's my experience with this fragrance, honestly and truthfully. Anyway, like I said, stay tuned today for another video from a house with a tobacco fragrance, a French house coming up within the next 6 hours. We do have a full bottle giveaway thanks to their distributor, the USA distributor. It's a USA giveaway, so stick around for that. But I appreciate you tuning in. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Otherwise, please like this video, please share it, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.